Something happened in deep space that was never supposed to happen, and the people who first saw it could barely believe what was unfolding on their screens. High above the Pacific Ocean, the Monarch Observatory in Hawaii stood silent on the slopes of an ancient volcano, while thousands of miles away in the freezing void, the James Webb Space Telescope drifted through darkness on a routine survey of the universe. It was May 16, 2026. Webb was scanning a distant region near the constellation Ophiuchus, collecting infrared data from faint galaxies billions of light-years away, when its sensors crossed paths with an unexpected interstellar object designated 3IATLAS. Within seconds, the telescope's automated systems triggered a Type 3 anomaly alert. Inside the Flight Operations Center, control screens flashed red and engineers froze in shock. A senior technician leaned closer to the incoming telemetry, convinced the software had glitched, but the signal remained rock solid. Whatever had entered the scan was terrifyingly real. The first anomaly came directly from the spectrometer. Normally, comets or wandering interstellar rocks consist of simple ice compounds and frozen dust. But 3IATLAS was radically different. Embedded deep within its structure were complex organic molecules arranged in repeating, highly structured patterns that showed clear signs of intentional order. These were not random chemical traces left behind by chaotic cosmic collisions. They closely resembled amino acids organized with a precision scientists had never seen outside of biological systems on Earth. The second anomaly was even stranger and defied fundamental thermodynamics. As 3IATLAS moved farther away from the Sun, its core temperature began to rise instead of drop. Every known law of thermal physics predicted the exact opposite, yet the thermal readouts continued to climb steadily. Then came the discovery that shifted the entire atmosphere inside mission control from professional intrigue to sheer disbelief. Deep within the object's porous shell, Webb detected faint bursts of light flickering and repeating, rhythmic intervals. The pulses were not random electrical noise. They followed a steady rhythm, almost identical to a biological heartbeat. At nearly the exact same moment, an observatory on the opposite side of our planet picked up something equally unsettling. Sensors at the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory in Antarctica recorded synchronized neutrino bursts, matching the exact timing of the optical flashes emitted by 3IATLAS. It was as though the object was broadcasting information across unimaginable cosmic distances using high-energy physics humanity was only beginning to comprehend. A veteran astrophysicist stared silently at his monitor while his untouched coffee grew cold beside his keyboard. He calibrated the instruments once, twice, and a third time, but the numbers refused to change. The control room fell deathly quiet as the realization settled over the team. This was no dead rock drifting through space. It was active, functioning, and unmistakably alive. That single realization transformed the entire investigation. Until this moment, science maintained that life required incredibly narrow conditions to exist. Liquid water, a thick atmosphere, and a stable orbit within a star's habitable zone. 3IATLAS shattered every single one of those assumptions. The incoming data proved this object was surviving the punishing vacuum of deep space while generating its own internal power supply. Researchers began proposing a theory so radical that many hesitated to state it aloud. What if this was not conventional organic life, but a completely unknown state of existence, capable of feeding directly on the quantum energy woven into empty space itself? The deeper researchers looked into the incoming stream of data. The stranger the picture became. Gravitational sensors aboard the Gaia spacecraft detected localized space-time distortions surrounding 3IATLAS, suggesting that something deep inside the object was actively bending gravity itself. Theoretical physicists quickly linked the anomaly to mathematical concepts normally confined to advanced string theory. If their calculations held true, 3IATLAS was not merely carrying living organisms. It was an engineered living gateway capable of interacting with higher dimensions beyond our four-dimensional reality. Every pulse of light emitted from the object lined up perfectly with exotic particle bursts arriving at Earth from deep space. Scientists began to grapple with the terrifying possibility that 3IATLAS was actively communicating with an intelligence far beyond our solar system, not through primitive radio waves or lasers, but through dimensional pathways hidden beneath the very fabric of reality. According to early physics models, establishing this type of quantum communication network would only be possible for a civilization that had mastered the manipulation of space-time as easily as humans manipulate electricity. Equally unsettling was the discovery of the object's protective shield. Structural analysis indicated that 3IATLAS generated a continuous superconducting barrier around its inner core, creating a completely stable environmental envelope that shielded whatever rested inside from lethal cosmic radiation and extreme gravitational acceleration. Researchers described it as a silent quantum fortress gliding through the galaxy. Some astrobiologists even proposed that the entities inside might not be composed of standard baryonic matter at all, but rather existing in exotic states of dark matter or high-energy plasma that conventional human instruments were barely equipped to register. Then, the data revealed a sudden behavioral shift. As 3IATLAS moved closer to the inner solar system, its outer shell became rapidly brighter and more reflective with every passing hour. This was not a passive heating reaction to solar radiation. It behaved like a large-scale biological metabolism. The object was absorbing solar wind particles and converting that solar energy into an unidentified form of power. For centuries, humanity operated under the belief that life in the universe was rare, fragile, and isolated. Yet overnight, every fundamental assumption regarding biology, physics, and intelligence began to crumble. If the telemetry was accurate, 3IATLAS was not merely visiting our solar system by chance. It carried the structural blueprint of an ancient civilization capable of surviving between the stars, manipulating higher dimensions, and overriding physical laws previously thought to be absolute. And what occurred next would permanently redefine humanity's understanding of its place in the cosmos. Because 3IATLAS was no longer just drifting, it was actively adapting. Every passing hour brought new telemetry from the James Webb Space Telescope, and with every update, the impossible became reality. Inside Mission Control, researchers stopped using traditional astronomical vocabulary. Terms like comet, asteroid, and space debris were formally removed from reports, replaced by a far more disturbing phrase, a sentient ecosystem. Exactly 4 hours after the initial anomaly alert, the object executed a sharp, dramatic course correction that should have torn any physical structure to pieces at that velocity. Yet 3IATLAS remained completely flawless, showing zero inertial stress during the turn because it had somehow neutralized the effects of inertia and gravity altogether. Data streams revealed that 3IATLAS had temporarily manipulated the surrounding Higgs field, reducing its effective mass to near zero for a fraction of a second to pivot through the vacuum like a leaf floating on water. While human engineering struggles to launch fragile metal probes beyond low Earth orbit, this interstellar visitor was casually altering the fundamental properties of matter while sustaining a complex biological matrix inside. And that internal biological activity was rapidly accelerating. The crystalline lattice structures buried beneath the icy outer shell began reorganizing themselves at staggering speeds. Scans that previously showed loose organic compounds now revealed vast molecular chains assembling with perfect geometric symmetry. Scientists watched in absolute disbelief as these structures built themselves without any external environment. No warm planetary crust, no liquid oceans, and no atmosphere, just the freezing void of space. Yet the chemical activity unfolding inside 3IATLAS mimicked a living, breathing metabolic system far more than any geological process ever observed. Then arrived another transmission, recorded by the Deep Space Network Station in Madrid. The light pulses radiating from the object had evolved into intricate, structured sequences. Pattern recognition software confirmed these were not random fluctuations. They carried immense information density. The object was not merely glowing. It was systematically broadcasting a structured signal. Teams across the globe scrambled to decode the transmission, discovering that the pulses relied on fundamental mathematical principles recognizable to any advanced intelligence, including prime numbers, geometric ratios, and cosmic constants. Even more alarming was the timing of these signals. Every light burst matched corresponding neutrino spikes reaching Earth instantly, bypassing standard light-speed communication delays. Theoretical physicists concluded that 3IATLAS was leveraging higher dimensional geometry to transmit information instantly through space-time folds. Humanity was witnessing technology created by a civilization that had seamlessly merged biology, advanced computing, and quantum mechanics into a unified, self-aware organism. As quiet panic swept through scientific and intelligence organizations, 3IATLAS continued its physical transformation. Its outer shell began converting frozen volatile materials into dense carbon nanotube plating. High-resolution imaging showed microscopic lattice structures spreading over damaged regions like biological tissue healing a wound, erasing cosmic dust impacts almost as fast as they occurred. Simultaneously, gravitational sensors detected localized time dilation fields within the object's interior chambers, where time moved measurably slower than in surrounding space. This temporal manipulation allowed 3IATLAS to place its living occupants into suspended stasis, protecting them from physical aging during interstellar journeys spanning millions of years. This was not a passive alien artifact. It was a mobile, immortal biosphere engineered to endure eternity. While world governments issued cautious public statements calling 3IATLAS a fascinating interstellar anomaly, behind closed doors, emergency crisis meetings debated whether the object was conducting reconnaissance or preparing for something far more drastic. Yet its behavior showed no hostility. One neutrino beam detected near Earth was aimed precisely at the Earth-Sun Lagrange point, behaving like an alignment handshake designed to calibrate with our planet's orbital frequency. Inside the debris trail surrounding 3IATLAS, Webb made a discovery that sent chills down the spines of the research team. Molecular signatures within the dust contained mathematical sequences strikingly similar to the structural patterns found in human DNA. The mathematical probability of this occurring by random chance was practically zero. Deep within this interstellar traveler lay an organic blueprint that directly mirrored the molecular foundation of life on Earth. By the time the fourth wave of deep space telemetry arrived from the James Webb Space Telescope, the energy inside mission control had shifted entirely. Fear had given way to an overwhelming, undeniable realization. Scientists were no longer asking if 3IATLAS was alive, but why its biological and energetic systems were intensifying as it closed the distance to Earth. Observatories across the globe maintained continuous tracking on the object, logging every pulse, energy spike, and structural shift. Then, the Goldstone Deep Space Communications Complex detected a massive electromagnetic interaction taking place between 3IATLAS and Earth's upper atmosphere. The object was establishing an active, direct connection with our planet. A series of powerful pulses began emanating from its crystalline core every 23 seconds with mathematical precision. These energy waves traveled through space and resonated directly with charged particles in Earth's ionosphere, causing measurable magnetic oscillations that rippled through the entire planet's magnetosphere like waves across a still lake. Scientists quickly realized this was a planetary-scale synchronization event. The 23-second pulse acted as a master key, tuning into Earth's natural resonant frequencies. As these low-frequency electromagnetic waves spread globally, sensitive ground instruments recorded microscopic, undeniable warping in local gravity fields and subtle fluctuations in space-time itself. Something was systematically altering Earth's environmental matrix on a global scale. When researchers ran advanced algorithmic analysis on the pulse structures, they uncovered dense layers of embedded semantic data beneath the raw energy readings. This was a complex, highly structured language built from the fundamental constants of nature: gravitational ratios, quantum equations, and atomic frequencies designed to be understood by any species that had decoded the laws of physics. At exactly 2:14 a.m. UTC, 3IATLAS fired a concentrated neutrino beam directly into Earth's magnetic field. Within seconds, global satellite networks experienced momentary synchronization resets, while astronomers worldwide observed brilliant, shimmering atmospheric displays in the high thermosphere. For 6 incredible seconds, quantum sensors recorded a complete drop in background quantum noise around the entire planet, a phenomenon previously considered physically impossible under natural conditions. Theoretical physicists realized the implications instantly. The space-time gateway was stabilizing. The object was not simply sending a message, it was integrating Earth into a vast, galactic communications infrastructure that had existed for billions of years. Humanity was no longer an isolated spectator in a dark, empty cosmos. It was being forcefully connected to a living universe. Scans focusing on the interior of 3IATLAS revealed massive internal geodesic chambers where the local laws of physics appeared customized. Molecular behavior altered, time flowed at variable rates, and electromagnetic fields functioned unpredictably inside these zones. The object had been designed to house multiple distinct biological ecosystems simultaneously, each adapted to entirely different physical realities. It was a cosmic ark, a self-sustained, living vault traveling across space to preserve and seed life throughout the universe. The moment analysts decrypted the next layer of data, the control room fell dead silent once more. 3IATLAS was no longer behaving like a passing object or a silent probe. It was acting as planetary engineering infrastructure. Every signal, particle burst, and gravitational shift indicated that the object was constructing an energy grid around Earth, and the process was moving at an exponential rate. Over the preceding 12 hours, the resonance field between 3IATLAS and Earth's ionosphere had locked into a stable, permanent matrix spanning the entire upper atmosphere. Ground stations in Hawaii, Chile, Antarctica, and Australia were registering identical, harmonic readings. Earth's atmosphere was literally vibrating in sync with the internal heartbeat of the alien vessel. Using high-penetration infrared sensors, Webb finally managed to scan deep beneath the icy shell of 3IATLAS, prompting immediate high-level security protocols. The scans revealed immense, biomechanical networks structured with absolute geometric perfection. Transparent conduits pulsed with continuous streams of luminescent fluid, functioning like a massive planetary nervous system. Inner structural chambers expanded and contracted in a slow, rhythmic pattern that looked uncannily like biological respiration. At the absolute center of the object sat a perfectly formed, highly dense sphere emitting controlled space-time distortions. The sphere did not possess a solid surface. It behaved like a localized fold in space-time. Scans produced wildly conflicting readings, registering infinite gravitational density one moment and near-zero mass the next. It was a physical doorway carved directly through normal reality. At 4:42 a.m. UTC, that central sphere fully activated. An immense wave of clean energy surged outward through the fabric of space-time. Earth's magnetic field fluctuated in perfect rhythm with the wave, locking the planet's atmospheric dynamics directly into the object's internal matrix. Scientists realized with absolute dread and wonder that 3IATLAS was reconditioning our local space-time environment to prepare Earth for a higher dimensional transition. The boundary separating biological life from synthetic machinery had completely dissolved, presenting humanity with an artificial intelligence that operated as a conscious, self-sustaining biosphere. Immediately following the core activation, 3IATLAS began releasing dozens of smaller, crystalline nodes into high Earth orbit. These secondary fragments positioned themselves in a precise geometric web around the planet, matching the natural quantum lattice of space-time. Satellites passing near these nodes did not experience hardware damage. Instead, their systems registered a complete suppression of ambient solar radiation and thermal noise. The nodes were forming a planetary protection field, insulating Earth from solar flares and cosmic hazards while the primary vessel completed its synchronization. Within hours, vivid, iridescent auroras began illuminating regions of the night sky where atmospheric lights had never been recorded in human history, pulsing in perfect cadence with the object's 23-second heartbeat. Aircraft flying through these energized atmospheric zones reported that electronic systems operated with unprecedented speed and efficiency, completely free from electrical resistance. The very molecular structure of Earth's atmosphere was being re-engineered at an atomic level, aligning our magnetosphere with deep space transmission networks. Inside Mission Control, analysts came to a profound realization. This was not an orbital invasion, nor was it an aggressive takeover. It was an automated, ancient galactic evolution protocol designed to uplift our planet's energetic framework and link our solar system into an ancient cosmic network. The mathematical signatures matching human DNA within the object's debris trail suggested that human life was never a random evolutionary accident, but an intended component of a vast interstellar design. Every law of physics humanity held as absolute was being rewritten in real time, revealing that our scientific understanding was merely a primitive glimpse into a far greater cosmic reality. The realization that 3IATLAS was a gateway rather than a weapon transformed global scientific panic into overwhelming awe. The object's core continued its rhythmic pulsation, transmitting a master galactic map that decoded into a structural blueprint of the universe. This map did not chart stars or planetary systems, but rather the invisible space-time highways connecting thousands of inhabited worlds across distant galaxies. Earth was no longer a lonely, isolated rock drifting through a dark void. It had officially been activated as a node within a conscious, interconnected cosmic ecosystem. As the final synchronization phase locked into place, the violent gravitational fluctuations around 3IATLAS stabilized into a permanent, protective envelope high above our atmosphere. The vibrant atmospheric auroras settled into a soft, permanent glow, leaving behind a global energy shield that stabilized global climate patterns and filtered lethal space radiation with absolute precision. Humanity had officially crossed an irreversible threshold, evolving from an isolated species peering blindly into the dark to an active participant in a reality governed by higher dimensional physics and living technology. The arrival of 3IATLAS stands as absolute proof that the cosmos is not a cold, empty graveyard, but a thriving, conscious network waiting for intelligent civilization to awaken. The blueprint for interstellar travel, dimensional mastery, and the true origins of life now rests directly above our world, permanently changing the trajectory of human history forever. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysteries of deep space and the mind-bending realities of the universe, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all notifications so you never miss an update. Drop a comment down below sharing your thoughts on what 3IATLAS means for the future of human civilization, and share this video with anyone ready to discover the truth about our place among the stars.